The top stories tonight in Y News. The National Economic and Development Authority reiterates a call for the approval of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, saying it would further enhance the country's market access.
The Philippine National Police reveals drug syndicate as suspects in the ambush of Lanao del Sur Governor Mamintal Adyong Jr.
The Manila International Airport Authority admits there were security lapses on the alleged human smuggling incident involving a private aircraft last week.
And U.S. President Joe Biden visits Kyiv to show support and solidarity with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky days before the first anniversary of Russia's invasion in Ukraine.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, February 21, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I am William Theo.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am Harleen Delgado.
First in the news. The National Economic and Development Authority has remained steadfast in their support towards the urgent ratification of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. NEDA believes that RCEP would further enhance the country's market access. Nel Maribuhok reports.
The National Economic and Development Authority, or NEDA, reiterated the call for the approval of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP agreement. According to NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, the ratification of the mega trade deal will address long-standing issues in the agriculture sector and encourage investments.
It must be ratified. A lot of the future of this country, of our country, depends so much on our ability to attract investors, particularly foreign capital, because it's not enough. The domestic capital is not enough.
The socio-economic planning chief also brushed off criticisms that the free trade agreement will hurt the agri-sector.
With regards to the potential or the allegation that the agricultural sector could be hurt, there's no truth to that, as I said earlier, because whether or not there is RCEP, we need to invest in agriculture. We need, kinakailangan natin ma-address yung mga concerns. Yung mga problema ngayon ng agriculture has nothing to do with RCEP. These are the problems were outcome of past neglects of the sector.
RCEP is a free trade agreement between the 10 member states of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, and its 5 FTA partners: Australia, China, Japan, New Zealand, and the Republic of Korea. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. earlier said RCEP would be good for the country because of the increased trade that it would bring to different member economies. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Justice has set lower bail amount for indigents who are facing complaints or criminal cases. Dante Amento tells us why.
Department of Justice Secretary Crispin Boyeng Rimulya said they want to afford justice for all. In a recent circular, the Justice Department lowered the amount of bail for indigents who are facing charges to a maximum of 10,000 pesos.
Yung mga talagang hirap sa buhay na hindi naman makapagpiyansa, binabaan natin ang perang kailangan bayaran para makapiyansa ang mga nasa sakdal sa mga kaso.
The DOJ also ordered prosecutors to consider the financial capability of an accused for the recommendation of bail amount. The guideline will be applied to all cases undergoing inquest or preliminary investigation proceedings.
Ang gusto lang natin ay maging patas ang batas sa mata ng maging patas ang lahat ng tao sa mata ng batas. At kaya yung mga hindi na kaya magpiyansa ay makapagpiyansa rin.
Rimulya added this reform would also help decongest prison facilities across the country.
Tingnan natin ang laman ng ating mga piitan, ating mga kulungan. Marami kasi dito talaga ay kulang lang talaga sa pantustos, no? At kaya nga lahat ito ginagawa natin upang maayos natin ang sistema ng hustisya.
Meanwhile, the DOJ clarified that non-bailable offenses are not covered in this rule. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The investigation in the ambush of Lanao del Sur Governor Mamintal Adyong Jr. continues. Lanao del Sur Provincial Police Office Director Colonel Robert Daculan said they identified the suspects in the ambush of Governor Adyong and 4 others. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
The Philippine National Police or PNP has already identified the suspect in the ambush of Lanao del Sur Governor Mamintal Adyong Jr. Lanao del Sur Provincial Police Office Director, Police Colonel Robert Daculan said the identified suspects are illegal drug personalities.
Initially, ang sabi doon, pag alis ng tropa, nung successful na yung marijuana eradication, lahat ng ang sabi ng mga suspects, lahat ng dadaan dito na PNP personnel hindi makakaligtas. Yun ang word nila sa area.
Colonel Daculan added the said suspects were subject of the drug operations conducted by the PNP on Friday morning.
Base dito sa documents namin ay itong mga suspect ay drug personalities. During the morning of the ambush kasi, nag-operate yung tropa natin doon sa area mismo. It's just about 200 meters. Sa mga drug personalities, mga warrant, at saka sa mga marijuana cultivators.
The PNP is also looking on the mistaken identity as one of the angle on the ambush.
During the afternoon, yun na dumaan yung mobile natin na isa, followed by yung mga escort ni Go.
Ang ibig nyo sabihin, sir, parang mistaken identity lamang itong pagkaka-ambush sa grupo ni Governor. Tama po ba, sir?
So far, sir, parang yun ang lead sa ongoing investigation nila.
Meanwhile, PNP Chief Police General Rodolfo Azurin Jr. said, aside from politics, they are also looking on the other possible motives on the killing of Apari, Cagayan Vice Mayor Romel Alameda.
As to the motive, we are still determining whether it's a political, it's a business rivalry or a personal issues.
Because of the ambush of 2 local chief executives, the PNP will strengthen their preventive security measures against crime. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
A former official of the previous administration clarifies that there were no strings attached to the COVID-19 vaccine donations received by the Philippines from various countries. This as Senate Bariban Committee Chairperson Francis Tolentino questioned if there were correlations with the purchases made by the government from countries that donated millions of COVID-19 vaccine doses.
Sa akin pong pagkakaalam, wala pong anumang kondisyon o strings attached ang pag-donate ng mga bansa tulad ng China at tulad na rin ng mga ibang bansa na tumulong sa atin po na nag-donate. I think Australia nag-donate din po, ang Amerika nag-donate din po.
Former Deputy Chief Implementer of the National Task Force Against COVID-19, Vince Dizon, said and also maintained that the Duterte administration followed a strict first-in, first-out vaccine deployment. However, the Department of Health, or DOH, noted that 44 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines were wasted, bulk of which were AstraZeneca and Moderna vaccines. Currently, the agency says there are 15 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines stored in various facilities of the national government. The government will no longer procure bivalent vaccines and will source out the supply from donations instead.
Senate Deputy Minority Leader Risa Ontiveros wants the Senate Blue Ribbon Panel to investigate the reported entry of sugar shipments in the country ahead of the approved sugar importation order. The senator says, based on her independent sources, 260 containers of imported sugar arrived at the port of Batangas on February 9 with All Asian Counter Trade Incorporated as the consignee. However, Ontiveros noted that the Sugar Regulatory Administration, or SRA, issued Sugar Order Number 6, which allows the importation of 440,000 metric tons of refined sugar on February 15. According to the senator, the earliest date to bring in imported sugar under the latest sugar order is on March 1st, 2023. Ontiveros says this should be considered as a case of smuggling and must be investigated.
The Manila International Airport Authority admits there were security lapses on the alleged human smuggling incident involving a private aircraft last week. This report will tell us why. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee has opened its inquiry on the alleged case of human smuggling involving a private aircraft at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, or NAIA, last February 13. The foreign-owned aircraft that was bound for Dubai allegedly bypassed the pre-flight inspection of the PNP Aviation Security Group, or AVSA Group. The Manila International Airport Authority, or MIAA, admits there were lapses in the security protocols, such as the entry of private vehicles in the restricted security area without inspecting the passengers. Some senators expressed concern as this poses security risks.
Investigation po na ginawa ng aming team sa MIAA, may mga pagkukulang po na nangyari. Ang chinek lang po nila is yung driver, hindi ho yung pasahero o yung mga sakay dun sa mga sasakyan.
From now on, they should be processed just like everybody else. Kasi sa ngayon, Mr. Chair, sasakay sila sa kanilang BMW, Ferrari, Lexus, diretso-diretso na agad yan sa aeroplano, sabay sampa. Wow!
Basta lang yung plate number, nakakapasok na kaagad. Di ba dapat pag may pumapasok na ganyan, ililista niyo kung sino-sino yung mga yon na nasa loob? Kasi kung may nangyari dun sa loob, at least alam niyo yung mga tao pwede ninyong balikan. Ito yung mga nakapasok dun sa security restricted areas.
The MIAA vows to implement new security measures, including the establishment of a one-stop shop processing center for private passengers.
Pag pasahero, hindi kailangan ng access pass pero dapat nasa flight manifest. Pag well-wisher siya or security, kailangan kumuha sila ng access pass. Pagpasok po nila, kailangan umalis po sila sa sasakyan because they have to go through the X-ray machine.
Meanwhile, senators also lament the lack of coordination between airport and aviation authorities in preventing the aircraft to take off. The Air Traffic Control of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, says they did not receive any notice from the PNP AVSA Group to stop the plane from leaving.
I called General Jojo Robles because I don't have contact with the tower.
So ang sabi ko po sa kanya, pre, makipag-coordinate ka sa biyaan kasi jurisdiction nila yan. Nasa ground pa po yung aeroplano during that time.
Colonel Campo, ba't kinakailangan patawagan si General? Dapat wala nang ganong klaseng sistema. Nandun ka na sa ground, ba't ka pa dumadaan sa kanya? Paano kung si General Robles ay tulog? So kumbaga, sorry sir, kumbaga pala, inutil ka. Hindi, kumbaga, you cannot function without talking to him.
For their part, the aircraft's ground handler, Global Aviation Service Corporation, denies the alleged irregularities surrounding their operations. This, as Senator Raffy Tulfo recommended to suspend the license of the company, being the same ground handler of formerly executives Mohit and Twinkle Dargani when they tried to leave the country at the height of the Senate's investigation on the questionable COVID-19 supply deals entered by the government in 2021.
In all honesty, talagang parati po sinasabit namin lahat ng pangalan. Wala kaming tinatago.
The Senate Blue Ribbon panel will conduct another hearing on the incident. Jorin Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God. And for our news abroad, powerful earthquakes have rocked Turkey and Syria once again, 2 weeks after the region experienced its worst earthquake in modern history. Nerissa Dando will give us the details live. Nerissa?
Good evening, Beth. A 6.4 magnitude earthquake followed by a second measuring 5.8 has hit the province of Hatay in the Turkey-Syria border at around 8:04 p.m. local time, killing at least 3 people and leaving hundreds wounded. According to residents, more buildings have collapsed, but most of the people have already evacuated after the initial earthquakes 2 weeks ago. Turkey's disaster management agency AFAD reported that the epicenter of the latest earthquake was below the Defne district of Hatay, where many have complained of the lack of government presence and rescue efforts during the initial quakes. The province was one of the worst hit places initially, with the latest quakes causing yet more destruction and potentially further loss of human life. The overall death toll for the earthquakes, both in Turkey and Syria, is estimated to be at least 47,000 and expected to climb further. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken visited Hatay on Sunday, February 19, and pledged a further $100 million in aid, stating that the recovery operations will require a long-term effort. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, for that report live from Japan. U.S. President Joe Biden visited Kyiv, Ukraine on Monday, February 20, to show support and solidarity with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky days before the first anniversary of Russia's invasion in Ukraine. This is also the first time that a U.S. president visited Ukraine since former U.S. President George W. Bush in 2008. President Biden announced an additional $500 billion assistance, which would include more military equipment such as artillery ammunition, more javelins and howitzers, as well as new sanctions to be imposed on Moscow later this week. Although the trip was risky, the U.S. chief executive pushed through the visit, and Russia was informed of the plans of the visit for deconfliction purposes, according to National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Residents in Ukraine appreciated the efforts of President Biden in visiting the country, despite the dangers, saying that they feel the support given by the U.S. and that it gave joy and hope. On his Telegram channel, President Zelensky said that this visit is an extremely important sign of support for all Ukrainians. President Biden will then be going on a scheduled 2-day visit to Poland, where he will meet Polish President Andrzej Duda. Tens of thousands of junior doctors in the United Kingdom will go on a 72-hour walkout strike that could further burden the load of UK's health system.
Thousands of junior doctors in the United Kingdom are in discontent with the government's offer of 2% pay increase. They find it insulting and inadequate with the current inflation at over 10%, the head of the British Medical Association Junior Doctors Committee said. BMA, the largest trade union, which represents 45,000 junior doctors in England, said 98% who took part in the ballot vote agreed to go on a 72-hour walkout strike next month, with exact dates due to announce in the next few days. Health leaders say this would cause serious disruption in hospitals as medics below consultant level in all services, including nurses in A&E, intensive care, and cancer wards, would be paralyzed. Senior physicians are likely to take the place of junior doctors and provide emergency care on strike dates. Meanwhile, British Health Minister Steve Barclay said the result of the vote was deeply disappointing. In a statement, Barclay said he wants to continue discussing how the government can make the National Health Service, or NHS, a better place to work for all. However, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's government have argued that higher pay rises would only lead to more inflation. Ann Gonzalez, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Maraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening. Back.
The House Committee on Dangerous Drugs has called for a motu proprio investigation into the alleged 30% of the confiscated drugs reward system. Aileen Cerudo will tell us why.
In line with curbing recycling of confiscated drugs, the House Committee on Dangerous Drugs wants further probe on the statement of Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency or PDEA Director General Moro Virgilio Lazo.
Ang sistema, sir, I do not have to spend anything. They will do all the work, but they are asking 30% of the actual seizures as their payment.
The House panel was deliberating on House Bill number 7094, or an act providing for an immediate destruction of confiscated, seized, or surrendered dangerous drugs. During the deliberation, PDEA Director General revealed that there are assets or informants willing to fully cooperate and help with a drug investigation in exchange for a cut or 30% of the actual seizures.
I outrightly told them that as far as my administration is concerned, we are only to give them the monetary value through our reward system.
The PDEA chief reiterated that the agency only grant rewards that are of monetary value. Meanwhile, lawmakers raised concern on the issue.
Kaya hindi matapos-tapos siguro yung recycling, it's because the assets who give information to drug lords, information to arrest drug lords and sellers are being rewarded not of monetary value but of items that are seized or apprehended. Ito yung shabu. So ang nire-reward sa kanila 30% na shabu binabalik. So of course the assets will now sell it back to the streets.
Aside from investigating on the alleged 30% scheme, the House panel will also look into cases of recycling of illegal drugs. Aileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The House of Representatives has adopted a resolution backing the bid of several senators to ratify the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP. House Resolution number 728 was approved via voice voting. The RCEP is a deal made by the Association of Southeast Asian Nations with free trade agreement partners, including Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and China. This would potentially lower tariffs on imports and open gates for more imported goods. As of last week, there are already 16 senators who have signed the committee report on the RCEP.
The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, has confirmed that the wreckage plane near Mayon Volcano's crater is the missing Cessna aircraft in Albay. In a statement, CAAP said after several attempts to reach the crash site amid weather disturbance, the CAAP Accident Investigation and Inquiry Board that is part of the search and rescue operations for Cessna 340 has positively identified the aircraft's wreckage. The agency said it assessed the wreckage site, which was located at an elevation of 3,500 to 4,000 feet on the west side slope of Mayon, using a high-definition camera. It was earlier reported that missing Cessna 340 carried 4 passengers, which includes the pilot, crew, and 2 passengers. The CAAP said their conditions remain unknown as search and rescue teams have yet to reach the site due to bad weather.
The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, details the risks in conducting a search and rescue operations in the crash site of Cessna plane in Mount Mayon. The weather agency, on the other hand, said that weather conditions in the next days would be favorable until the weekend. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The crash site of the Cessna plane was located at a distance of 2 kilometers from the ground up to the upper part of Mount Mayon. Dr. Paul Alanis, the resident volcanologist of Mount Mayon, said that the volcano is still under alert level 2 wherein eruption may possibly happen. Even if the search and rescue operation will use chopper, it may still pose a danger.
May possibility na magkaroon ng mga phreatic eruptions sa loob. And ang danger nito is baka unang-una danger para sa mga search and rescue operators. And then, dahil pwedeng magkaroon ng mga pyroclast density currents. Next is, kung may aircraft na ginagamit, pwedeng mahigop yung mga debris na ito ng mga makina and magdulot ng isang aksidente pa.
The crash site is a steep slope and a rockfall has also been recorded in the volcano. If a ground search and rescue operation will be conducted, there are some challenges because of the weather condition in the past days. But according to the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAGASA, improved weather condition in Bicol is expected until weekend.
Sa weather, okay. Pag-uusapan yung visibility, okay. Hindi man ganong, wala tayong nakikita malalakas na pag-ulan na magdudulot ng almost zero visibility.
PHIVOX said that rescuers should also bring personal protective equipment including masks that could protect them from gas being emitted by the volcano. The decision to continue the search and rescue operation is now up to the local government unit. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Trade and Industry reminds retailers of displaying correspondent price tag in every product. This as authorities conducted inspection in a public market in San Juan City today. Asher Cadapan Jr. explains why.
The law mandates retailers to display the price tag of every product, especially those with suggested retail price by corresponding government agencies. The Department of Trade and Industry explains this as they conduct joint inspection of Agora Public Market in San Juan City to ensure that vendors comply with the SRP set by authorities, particularly to onions.
We have reminded lahat po ng nagtitinda na yung requirement ng price tag ay requirement po ng batas.
Consumers favor DTI's call to retailers as price tags help and protect them from overpricing.
Para alam ng mamamili kung magkano yung bibili nila agad-agad para hindi hassle dun sa time. Hindi na siya magtatanong, magkano to, magkano ganyan.
Protection din po yun para hindi mabudol.
In the joint inspection by authorities, 2 retailers were issued notice of violation in the said public market.
Ang Department of Agriculture nga kanina, meron silang mga nasita na walang price tag at ganoon din po meron silang nasita na mas mahal ng kaunti yung imported onions.
The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA on their part plans to recommend the same to mayors across the National Capital Region.
Gagawin po ito sa lahat ng palengke sa buong Kalakang, Maynila para po ma-monitor natin yung price. Makikipag-ugnayan po kami ni Mayor Zamora sa iba pa po naming kasamahan sa Metro Manila Council para po maikutan lahat ng palengke.
Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A transport group aims to establish a manufacturing plant to produce modified traditional jeepneys that are still compliant with the PUV modernization program. JP Nunez will tell us why.
A manufacturing plant for the modified traditional jeepneys is being established in Batangas by transport groups. Liga ng mga transportasyon at operators ng Pilipinas or LTOP, President Orlando Marquez believes that the iconic image of the traditional jeep should remain despite the full implementation of PUV modernization program. He further explained that the government is erasing the iconic image with the new units of modernized jeepney that are actually a minibus.
Ang nakasulat sa tagiliran ay modernized jeep. Ikaw nang mag-isip, sino bang niloloko mo, nililinlang mo? Kapwa mo Pilipino dahil sabi mo modernized jeep, hindi naman jeep.
With the target manufacturing plant, transport groups aim to produce a unit of jeepneys which still features its iconic image. However, it will have a higher roof which passengers can walk inside. Doors are placed on side, has a higher seating capacity and air-conditioned which complies with the modernization program. Orlando Marquez also said they aim to produce machines which uses biogas instead of crude oil for environmental efficiency. It will be installed on modified traditional jeep. It is also expected to be cheaper than the modernized jeepney.
Bababa tayo dun sa class 3 sa kasalukuyan na presyo nila na 2.4, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, depende sa accessory. Maibaba niya ng almost 200,000 to 300,000. So di napakalaking bagay, di ba?
Meanwhile, to other Filipino commuters, they still believe that the image of the traditional jeepney should be preserved despite the implementation of PUV modernization program.
Yun ang tatak ng Pinoy, yung jeep na yun. So, kailangan, nandun pa rin yung tatak Pinoy na hindi siya kailangan ibahin na sobrang modern tapos nawala na yung pagiging Pinoy.
Dapat yan ang suportahan natin kung anong kinamulat ng ating nilikha ng Pinoy. Yun ang i-develop na pwede na, instead na ito ang ibigay nila mga minibus, bakit hindi na lang yung jeep ang i-develop?
At tayong mga Pinoy, kilala rin po tayo sa paggamit ng jeepney. Isa po sa tradition natin yan. So mahalaga po na ma-preserve yung tsura.
JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity from Monday to Friday, 9:30 p.m. Philippine time through the social media accounts of Members Church of God International.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Psalms, chapter 111, verse 10, it says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever." And those are the reasons behind the news, February 21, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am Harley Delgado.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.